Good day, everyone. Welcome to another epic episode. I welcome you. And these days, I just want to thank all those who have subscribed to this channel. In just 2 weeks, my subscribers just went over 1,000. Right? Yes, I started the channel a couple of months ago after the election. But I'll post like one video and just maybe stop, like after 2 months post another video. But the past 3 weeks I just started to post maybe constantly a few videos, and in just 2 weeks then I just my channel was just monetized like that. So I would love to thank all those who have subscribed. Thank you very much. You gave me a very good December, right? So I just hope that we'll be having a great time going forward, as we'll be getting notification and you'll be getting new videos. You and I will be having this great dialogue about politics, right? So thank you a lot. If you haven't not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Please hit the subscribe button and press the super thanks button, and you can leave a comment on the section below and let us hear maybe your view of how you see things. My name is Sabelo Zuma Omsholozi. I'm not very biased, but I state what I've acquired as knowledge and listening to politicians, and I will share. Not everything I talk comes from my mind. I heard it somewhere, maybe Musi Maimani or Jacob Zuma or Julius Malema or Helen Zille saying. Maybe I will just repeat it here, right? Yeah, so some of the comments sometimes they become very such to say, but you're biased and so forth. But the only thing that we try our best to give the proof of, maybe to say this is what is happening and so forth. And we are also allowed to express our views, right? Before I waste any time, I don't want to waste any of your time, right? So there's this much contested argument between the DA and the ANC about the Bela bill, right? So I just wanted to make this video. I went across this nice video explaining, maybe just in summary, of what exactly is the Bela bill, right? But this video gave me an idea, right, to say the Bela bill, the DA does not support some of the things, not on its own entirety, some of the things in the Bela bill, right? Because it changes basically the education system, right? So, and it gives everything to be controlled by the government, including homeschooling, including private schools, right? So that right of maybe deciding your own syllabus, deciding who are the children is the school taking to enroll them to be part of the school. So it's taking all those powers from the parents, from the school governing bodies, and giving that power to the government, right? So now the DA is crying to say that, but if you are giving now these powers to the government, there are a lot of things that they are not doing right, like in terms of fixing the infrastructure, fixing some of the municipalities. So how do you expect them maybe to play that good responsible role in order of implementing the Bela Act, right? So it is just a conflict after a conflict. Let us just listen to this maybe voice clip, then we will comment, and maybe I want to outline something on where exactly is the problem, why the DA is pushing and fighting this thing, not the president to sign the bill, right? Even though we know that the president has already signed the bill, just to pass it to the minister and officially implement it, right? Let us listen to this.
So many issues. After all, a massive protest of Sea of Orange. Look how many people, and they all went to Fort Tracker Monument to protest. Even Steve Hofmeyer came to sing about it. So it's quite serious. So let's get down to it. There's a sea of propaganda about this. So please don't read and listen to it. As you know, it's obviously far right and far left, and it doesn't help. We need to be objective, because at the end of the day, you and I can agree that education should be about equal opportunity for all children, so that they have an opportunity to participate in the economy of South Africa that was not afforded to so many people AI tool. Yes, artificial intelligence. You know what you can do? You can take the entire bill and put it into AI, and it will give you summaries, and it will give you in a way that you can understand. Because the bill, I think, is being misunderstood by so many people. So, I'm going to read out a few of the contentious issues that the Bela bill had, okay? Because it's very simple. I asked AI, just tell me, what are the issues, what are the pros and cons? And this is what it gave me. Number one, the contentious aspect number one, compulsory grade R. It means that it's no longer starting in grade 1, it's going to be 1 year before that. Okay, it just means it's going to put a lot of pressure on infrastructure in schools, especially with existing schools that already have issues, okay? So that is an infrastructure problem. Centralized control over admissions and language policies. It means that the central government, the national government, will decide where the kids go to what school. Now, in the nice sort of ideal world, that is a good thing. But we also know how government is when they manage things. Just take a look at our infrastructure and home affairs, to name a few. In fact, the existing education system is not great either. So I can understand why people are going to complain. In my opinion, there should be a national mandate, but I don't think, personally, that a national government should be deciding admissions. However, the pro of it is any public school that gets public funding, okay, that's taxpayer money, the government should and be able to decide.
Okay.
But the private schools should be able to decide on their own. It shouldn't govern them either. I think that's where I sort of separate my views on. Next one, disciplinary and conduct regulations. Okay, this says that the bill revises the guidelines around student discipline. It's basically the possession of drugs, the prohibition of corporal punishment, the initiation practices. Some view these measures as critical for student safety, while others worry about enforcement and school autonomy in managing discipline. I don't think this is such a big problem because it's already an issue right now. However, I understand why it can be. The fourth one, homeschooling regulations. The bill introduces stricter rules for homeschooling, requiring parents to comply with curriculum standards and report attendance. It means that if anyone says, hey, I've been homeschooled, it means they really have to be homeschooled, not just sitting on Zoom, playing games and playing Roblox. Then I asked AI, give me the pros and cons of the Bela bill. In summary, it said the pro is increased access to early education. Yes. Improved safety and inclusivity. Yes. Support for multilingual education. We'll get to that. That's where these guys come in. Then enhanced accountability. Okay. The biggest controversy of all of that is language. Okay. Because then I asked AI, what is the issue now? Give me the cons of the Bela bill.
Yeah.
It gave me this. Reduced autonomy for schools and parents, aka these guys, because specifically Afrikaans schools have been primarily been used to exclude. Unfortunately, in the previous history of South Africa, money and language have been used to exclude people. Like if you don't have the money, you can't go to the school. If you don't speak this language, you can't go to that school. Now we are on to the final and proper issue. Why these guys are here. It is the issue of Afrikaans. But this is where I need to talk to you about it. And I need to ask the Afrikaans people, you need to give me feedback on whether or not this is in the right direction. Because in the news, during the protest, Kriel from AFRIForum said, this is the biggest protest from the Afrikaans community since 1994. Wait a minute. What is he saying? He doesn't like democracy? Because if they were protesting about the democratic change in South Africa, then isn't this the same problem? Yes, it's an issue of change. But this is sort of a Freudian slip. Because it's trying to tell me that they simply don't like change rather than look at the issue. Because if you are going to make South Africa inclusive for everybody, okay, we want education. We want everyone to study. But why is the issue with Afrikaans? So I asked AI again, what is the impact way to keep the school Afrikaans and by excluding others. Yes, unfortunately, it's a policy that has been going on for a while. Not all schools, but it is a roundabout way of discriminating. Okay. Number two, impact of Afrikaans medium schools. The fear about the Bela bill is it may dilute the Afrikaans community. The Afrikaans community in South Africa is very strong and united. All of you else should be ashamed, because you know what? These guys come together no matter what. It's not just Braai, man. Everything. And that for me needs to be preserved. Because if communities can come together and help each other, other communities can do the same and create new schools that can be more exclusive. To get a bit more insight, here's a tweet that says, the Bela Act seeks to promote and protect all official languages, not just Afrikaans. And that's why they are the angriest they have ever been since 1994. We will not betray the generation of 1976. Education must be inclusive and work in the interest of all South Africans. Now, here's the thing. The schools should preserve and foster and nourish all cultures and all religions and all languages in South Africa. We are a rainbow nation. But here's the thing. The Afrikaans people gave a damn about their culture and they preserved it, and it's been strong for a long time. So the same needs to be done for other cultures, but force-feeding it down Afrikaans people, I don't know if that's going to work. We also need to preserve cultures and learn how to preserve and work as communities instead of breaking down existing ones that are actually strong and very powerful and, to be honest with you, worth preserving, and that includes the Afrikaans culture in South Africa. What is the Bela bill and why is it causing so many issues? After all,
So we have had the clip, right? I think the clip, if you maybe were confused about the Bela bill situation, this has just explained everything, right? It just simplified everything that it needed maybe clarity on about the Bela bill, right? So on the clip, you've heard that the biggest problem coming from AFRIForum is the issue of the language, right? The Afrikaans language, right? So now the Afrikaans language, you remember that when you check in our history, what happened in 1976, when the likes of Hector Peterson and other students, there was a Soweto uprising whereby they were protesting against the nationalization of a language called Afrikaans as the first language to teach all the subjects or learners in South Africa. So now they were against that bill, they were against that law to say that English must, Afrikaans must be the first language, and the English and the GNU languages will follow after the Afrikaans, right? So there was that uprising whereby a lot of the youth were shot down and they were killed for that, right? So now Panyaza Lusuf had something to say about the implementation of the Bela bill and says that we must not fail the youth of 1976, right? So now the DA now is in government of GNU with the ANC, and the DA, some of their stance is not in line with the ANC when it comes to support of Russia and the US. They know that the ANC has aligned itself with Russia and the BRICS nation, and we know that the DA has a big brother, which is America, the USA, and the NATO. We know that the DA sides with the West. Let me just put it like that, right? Not only that, there are some policies when it comes to corporate and business, the mine, the nationalization of how things, the DA view, the mines, the petroleum industry, and what makes the economy of the country, which differs from what the ANC and their Bill of Rights and their constitution that they stand for. So these are just two different animals, right? But now they have smelled their armpit to see which common ground will they find maybe and start to work together. So another thing that they differ on is this issue of education, right? Because now the ANC has adopted this bill. It is there so that it will change the act. It will change the draft bill, which has been approved by the cabinet of the publication thereof in the government gazette of the public. The draft bill proposes to amend the South African Schools Act of 1996, Act number 84 of 1996, and the Employment of Educators Act 1998, Act number 76 of 1898, the SASA and the EEA respectively, so as to align them with the developments in the education landscape and to ensure the system of learning and excellence in education are put in place in a manner which respects, protects, promotes, and fulfills the right to basic education enshrined in Section 29, Paragraph 1 of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, for in the existing legislation. So now, what we find basically here is that the DA does not want this act, this bill, to change in any way, because it threatens the culture of the Afrikaans. It threatens the culture of what? Of the Afrikaans language. So it means that all the apartheid government, what they tried to legitimize, the Bela bill reverses the gains which were done by the Afrikaner apartheid government. So, for this bill to pass, even the DA has threatened to leave the GNU just to see how serious is this matter. Because whether we like it or not, as the president has approved this is so equivalent to as the White Afrikaner National Racist Party. It is as much as they've lost the war. The gains of the forefathers of wanting to legitimize and to put Afrikaans as the primary language to rule South Africa, it has been destroyed. The entire stature, it has been destroyed. The entire history has collapsed. So this is as equal as losing a war to Afrikaner nation or Afrikaner nation. Why I say this? It's because they came out and they came there with Steve Hofmeyr, and Gaten Mackenzie also came to support them, right? Because to preserve the culture of Afrikaans. And they were seen taking out the flags of apartheid, the flags of the Boers and of the National Party, the racist flag of the past, because they understand now that if we defeat Africans, we are defeating them as a nation. Now that's why this is war. That the DA even threatened to leave the GNU. Just to check how serious is the matter. Imagine that somewhere in Pretoria, the Boers have invested more than 3 billion to build an Afrikaans university. Yeah, they started, I think the university is even finished by now. And the clip that you were listening to is that even the language as a barrier, it was used for racial targets, racial onslaught, racial segregation. That if now the language here, it is compulsory, this is a private school, it is Afrikaans, and if your Afrikaans is not your first language, you are not welcomed here. So the government is taking those powers to say they will be doing the placement. They will be deciding whether it's private or public. They will be deciding to say, these are your students. So you know what they've destroyed? They have destroyed this thing of Afrikaner white privilege and rich privilege, capital privilege. To say that, no, in this area, because the school government body will decide on what student or which student to take. Because these ones, they are having this background and this culture and they speak this language, okay, we take them. These ones, no, they must go there, down the road there. There's another school that speaks English and that accommodates the blacks and those who are speaking the Nguni languages. Right? So this now it's a war to the Afrikaner community. That's why I say this will be equivalent of losing a battle. Finally, the likes of our Panyasa, they understand this. Likes of some prominent ANC leaders, they understand this. The likes of the DA leaders, they understand this quite well. That is why now they are fighting. And this thing, we take it for granted. It will become very serious because it is fighting personally the heritage and the culture of the Afrikaners in South Africa. That is why the Afrikaners are already working to preserve Cape Town as their country, because they want to keep that rich heritage of theirs alive. That is why we have places like Orania. It's an only Afrikaner towns, only white town in South Africa. You can't go there and be a resident. You can visit when you are black, but you can't go there and be a resident, because it is the only white town for Afrikaners, because they want to preserve that culture, who they are, right? So if now the rest of the country is just kicking them down now, we are giving them enough reasons to establish Cape Town as their home-based, cultural home-based town, only for whites and Afrikaners, because they will not allow this to happen. They will fight this tooth and nail. So the Bela bill is very strong. Unfortunately, you and I, we don't have that black strong forum like AFRIForum that we will fight these to say that no, let it be Zulu, let it be Tswana, let it be Pedi, let it be Venda. We don't have that. Let it be Xhosa. But they do have that because they are so organized and they are united. And the threat to them is a threat. And when the threat comes, they see it from the distance that, yes, coming, let's deal with it. But who will speak for the Xhosas, for the Ndebeles? Who will speak for them? No one. Yes, they will fight for the bill that, no, we are preserving all the languages. But in reality, they are fighting for Africans. That you must keep the Africans alive, because the Africans has been used as a weapon to segregate others and to take others. So the ANC, this is one of the greatest things the ANC have done. It's in such a longest period of time. Okay, I say it is great because of the pulling down of the Africans to make it common like other languages. But now they are taking away that right of private schools and homeschooling. I will talk about that. I disagree with the Bela bill there. Government syllabus is the worst. The education system that we have is just the worst. Unless they change entirely the education system and they adopt the education system like that of China, whereby they channel us and our minds and our children so that they will be in a position of being a manufacturer country, not the consumer country. Not a hire me, I need employment country, but country that will produce CEOs, corporates, manufacturing plants, and distributors. You understand that the system must be changed. Don't change only the act, change the system. Because as our education is now, it will fail a lot of people. And you know, I think whoever said that the government fails to run their own entities, their own businesses, right? Their own municipalities, their own programs. The government is just, especially the government that we have, is just the worst when it comes to that. These ministers need to be trained. The people who are working for government, they need to be trained properly on how to run systems, functioning systems, so that will qualify them to run well school systems. But as things are, it will be a disaster. This thing will be a disaster. I agree. This thing will be a disaster because the government is just awful. They are failing a lot of things now that they needed to correct and for them to function properly. But they are messing things up. A lot of things that our government officials have messed up. So to now be in charge of schools, they will mess up again. That one guaranteed. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and to leave a comment in the section below and press the thanks button. Until next time, I'm Sabelo Zuma, Uligaju, and I'm out.